Hello everybody and welcome to another instalment of Jono's Graveyard Jaunts. If you are enjoying the content of the channel so far, can I please ask you to like and subscribe so the channel can grow and we can venture further afield to ever more interesting places. Today we're at that stunningly peaceful and incredibly isolated St Michael's Church in Rushcock, Worcestershire. And this is the final resting place of the person who features in today's video. When we think about rock drummers, we think about the likes of Stuart Copeland, Cozy Powell, Mitch Mitchell, Ginger Baker and Keith Moon, to name but a few. However, when we think about crazy antics associated with rock drummers, we are immediately drawn to the likes of Keith Moon, who was known as Moon the Loon, and his offstage antics were the stuff of legend. When Keith Moon was staying in the same hotel and indeed next door to Kenny Jones of the Small Faces, instead of visiting his friend by the conventional way of actually using the door, Moon decided to break through the adjoining bedroom wall and uttered to Kenny, "Fancy a drink, old boy." The person who features in today's video and his fellow band members' offstage antics set the precedent for hotel destruction and anarchy in the rock world, which we will discuss later in the video. Now, the person we're going to be talking about in today's episode is a man by the name of John Henry Bonham. John was born on the 31st of May 1948 in Redditch, Worcestershire. He was born with an enlarged and bruised cranium after his mother Joan had spent 26 hours giving birth to him. Now, John weighed in at a grand £10 10 ounces, and John was named after his dad, who was also called John Bonham. Home for the family was a nice 3-bedroom semi-detached house in Redditch, which is actually located about 20 miles south of Birmingham. John immediately developed a passion for hitting things that made a noise, such as biscuit tins, sweet boxes, etc. And he took up drumming at the age of 5 years old. He received his first snare drum by the age of 10 and his first set of drums when he was 15. John played with his first semi-professional band, who were called Terry Webb and the Spiders, when he was 16 in 1962. They had a distinct band image which included them wearing purple jackets with velvet lapels, and the singer wore a gold lame jacket. John met his wife Pat Phillips when he was 17 years old and they were subsequently married. John played in a multitude of different bands, 2 of which featured Robert Plant. When Jimmy Page left the Yardbirds in 1968, Plant, John Paul Jones joined Jimmy Page and the band called themselves the New Yardbirds. After much persuasion, John Bonham joined the trio and the band renamed themselves Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin played their first ever gig as Led Zeppelin at Surrey University on the 20th of October 1968. Bonham, on Led Zepp's first tour of America, met Vanilla Fudge's drummer, a man by the name of Carmine Appice, who introduced Bonham to the Ludwig drum kit, which Bonham then used for the rest of his life. Led Zepp went on to become the biggest rock band in the 70s, with over 8 consecutive #1 albums and over 200 million records sold worldwide. Some of the band's songs consisted of Dazed and Confused, 10 Years Gone, In My Time of Dying, the infamous Stairway to Heaven, and one of my personal favourites, Ramble On. Now, Led Zeppelin were as famous for their offstage extracurricular activities as well as their onstage legendary performances. Led Zeppelin had a fondness for destroying TVs by throwing them out of hotel windows. Famously, the band once used fake names to return to a hotel which they had been barred from earlier. Upon checking out of one particular hotel, the band's tour manager, Richard Cole, was told by a young front desk worker that he had to pay the $2,500 bill for the 5 TVs that the band had somehow managed to destroy during their stay. Like it was nothing, Cole slapped down the money, paying the bill without even flinching. Now, the front desk worker was inspired to ask a now legendary question, and I quote, "I've heard that Led Zeppelin has a reputation for throwing TVs out of windows, but I thought it was BS. Can you tell me, what does it feel like just to toss a TV out of your window?" And Cole responded, saying rather philosophically, "Kid, there are some things in life that you just got to experience for yourself." Sliding the worker $500, he continued, "Here you go, mate, toss a TV, courtesy of Led Zeppelin." One of the band's most notable exploits happened in Hollywood's Chateau Montmartre Hotel, which incidentally is where John Belushi of the Blues Brothers died in 1982 from a drug overdose in one of the cottages attached to the hotel at just 33 years old. Now, during the band's stay at the hotel, Bonham decided to ride a motorcycle through the lobby of the hotel, causing a lot less damage than one would have expected after such a stunt. Not content with doing it just once, Bonham decided to attempt the stunt twice, which he obviously made during the same tour, and it truly earned him a place in the history of rock and roll. Now, John Bonham's death. In September of 1980, all four members of Led Zeppelin had begun rehearsing in preparation for the first tour of North America since 1977, which was planned to kick off on October the 17th in Montreal, Canada. The rehearsals took place near Jimmy Page's Windsor home where the band was staying. It was where John Paul Jones and Benji Lefevre, Led Zepp's road manager, discovered Bonham's body on the morning of September the 25th, 1980. Bonham had died tragically from inhalation of vomit in bed during his sleep. He was just 32 years old. In the day leading up to his premature death, Bonham had been on a 12-hour drinking binge session which began at noon and lasted until midnight when he fell unconscious. He had consumed an alarming 40
Here
units.
we are at the beautiful St Michael's Church in Rushcock, and we're just coming up to the final resting place of the legendary John Henry Bonham, who was, as you know, the drummer with Led Zeppelin before he sadly lost his life at the tender age of 20 at 32 on the 25th of September 1980. And here is John Bonham's grave. As you can see, all of the cymbals and the drumsticks and various trinkets left by well-wishers. John was also a keen hot rodder, and someone has obviously left a hot rod on the top of his gravestone. I'll just read the inscription, what it says. "Cherished memories of a loving husband and father, John Henry Bonham, who died September the 25th, 1980, aged 32 years. He will always be remembered in our hearts. Good night, my love. God bless." If we go around to the other side, we can see all of the drumsticks that well-wishers have left. As you can see, all of the drumsticks either side of the headstone there. Rest in peace, John. Thank you for the amazing music. You're sadly missed by everybody. In the middle of Redditch town centre, and this was a memorial that was erected in 2018 in what would have been the 70th anniversary of the late great John Bonham, who was the drummer with Led Zeppelin, the greatest rock band of the 70s without a doubt. And John was obviously one of the greatest, or if not the greatest, drummer of that time, and it's great to see a memorial erected to him. And you can see a Zeppelin on the right hand side there, obviously to commemorate his time with the legendary Led Zeppelin. Let's read what the inscription says, because it's quite interesting. The most outstanding and original drummer of his time, John Bonham's popularity and influence continues to resonate within the world of music and beyond. That's absolutely true. He was an incredible drummer and a great stage presence, and he loved to party. And here is the front of the John Bonham statue, showing John on the drums with his full drum kit. He obviously used a Ludwig, and as I say, it was commemorating his 70th, or what would have been his 70th birthday.
Old Hyde Farm, and it's the entrance.
So that's the drive to Old Hyde Farm, and these are the gates surrounding the property. It was once owned and lived in by John Bonham, who basically bought the property, and obviously his father was a carpenter, so they totally redeveloped the property and turned it once again into a working farm. So this is called Old Hyde Farm, and it's in Cutnell Green, literally about half a mile away from St Michael's Church, where John himself is actually buried.